to Dogma. Oh my god. Starting with red candle and liver on an XL floor. Honestly though, if I get hit, it's my own fault. What a start. Oh, you sons of bitches tried to get me. We're still not out of the woods. Like, I can't take any damage or I lose my deal with the devil shot. Fire in the hole! I feel like Anakin murdering younglings when I do that. And I can't let anyone escape. That's how they grow up and come back for vengeance. Neat. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, yeah. In retrospect. I want to look at my damage and rate of fire. It feels okay. Yeah, my damage leaves a lot to be desired. Rate of fire's good. 336. I can live with 336. Come on, man. I need you on this side of the rocks. There we go. Ghost Cubby, welcome back. I'm proud of myself, chat. I did not want to get up and go to the gym this morning, but I made myself get up and go to the gym anyway. I can't promise I had the world's most intense workout, but by God, I didn't lay in my bed this morning and talk myself out of it, which feels like a small victory, because I really did not want to get up this morning. I've been feeling real lazy Monday, Tuesday this week. I was genuinely convinced it was Thursday when I woke up this morning. That was kind of like part of the buzzkill of it all. I don't know about more eyes. What is it, Platinum God does, ranks items on a scale of 0 to 4. I give more eyes like a 2. You sound different after going to the gym. There's more hope in your voice until Isaac stomps it out of you. It's just that I've been awake longer. It genuinely is just that I've been awake longer. That's the whole thing. I can't remember what you do. Beyond the womb floor replaces all. It doesn't matter. We're not going to the womb. Doesn't matter. Not going to the womb. Yeah, it's just genuinely that I've been awake. I've engaged my diaphragm and I've done a lot more breathing. I've cleared out all the noisy mucus that lives inside me from a decade of smoking cigarettes. And I'm a little more clear-headed. And god damn it, I am hungry from the jump. That's the shittiest part about it. I wake up hungry off the jump. A sack room would be great, dude. I've got oh, Billy. A sack room would be great. I've got red hearts to, oh, right. I've helped myself not at all. I hate that. I hate that just makes them immolated hoppers now. So stupid. And I couldn't find a single tinted rock on the entire floor. Wow. Alright. Thanks for reminding me that my mom's been smoking my entire life, time I've been alive. I don't really feel like I reminded you, you know what I mean? That strikes me as the kind of thing you don't forget. Unless you've got some sort of, like, neurological disease. I grew up with a Vietnam veteran dad who smoked inside the house until I was in middle school, so... Yeah, I can't imagine that I would imagine that just about anybody who claims that they remember their parents smoking in the house fondly, is likely bullshitting you. Lisa, instead of lunch now, you have something else on the way. Glitch, the merry prankster. I can't believe we haven't been able to produce one. Was there a soul heart in here? Did I screw myself? There was not. All right, I feel less bad. I feel less bad. We still could potentially get. Please don't get in there. We potentially still could get a deal with the devil. It's basically a coin toss. Damage, you just say. That's not so bad. That's not so bad. Larry. It's not so great. Man, I would kill. Come on.
2 of spades. This is the story of the newest denizen of the cave.
I would kill for a sack room. Oh, I don't want brimstone bombs. Do I? Wait, though. Maybe I do. Do I want...
Experimental pill.
Do I want brimstone bombs? It'll be useful against the beast. Kay Bailey, welcome back. Jay Boniger, tier 1 for a year. Jay Boniger, pleasure to have you here. Yeah, Pop Rat says, my parents smoked, at least made sure it made me never touch a cigarette. At least I appreciate that. Because my dad smoked, weirdly, I smoked for 10 years. I don't know why. I hated that he smoked when I was a kid. I accidentally put one of his cigarettes out with my hand. Because when I was in my dad's den, I went to go cover his eyes, and I hit the cherry on his cigarette.
This is the story of the newest denizen of the cave.
I begged him to quit when I was a kid, and then I grew up, and a hot girl at a club asked me if I would be interested in smoking a cigarette with her, and I said yes, because I was horny. And when it didn't, like, actually hurt me to ingest, when it actually didn't hurt me to ingest it, I was just like, oh, well, it looks cool, so I'm gonna do it now. Maybe my dad was onto something. Like a dummy. Pop, everybody, is the person making the thumbnails on the new YouTube channel. By the way. So, Joanna is editing them. And then Pop is making really good-looking YouTube thumbnails. So, listen, it's going to be a little slow going out of the gate. It's going to be a little bit embarrassing until we get some branding on those channels. It's going to feel like serving food on a table that's not set. But for the moment being, we're going to get it populated with some content, and then we're going to start pushing people over there. And when Thermal Knight has the time, we will start getting branding pulled over. You ate the cigarette? No. I don't understand the reference. How'd that work out? The cigarette thing that I put out my dad's cigarette with my hand? He actually got mad at me for, like, he didn't check on me at first. Ingest? Is that not a correct use of the word ingest? My understanding was that ingest just meant to put inside your body. Alexa, define ingest.
The verb ingest is usually defined as to take as food into the body, opposed to egist.
Ah, no.
Ask me to give you more definitions for ingest.
Thank you.
You bet.
Ah, no, ingest does in fact mean to eat. It does in fact mean to eat. I mean, I guess, like, yeah, like, Ralliker, that was kind of my take, was that I genuinely thought for the longest time that it meant that, like, it just meant to, like, make it be inside you, you know what I mean? But you know, if we're gonna go hardcore clinical, then the first definition that I got was to actually eat. Oh, does Webster's agree with me? Fuck you, Echo. And yeah, Phil, my dad actually got more pissed at me for ruining a perfectly good cigarette than he was concerned about whether or not I'd burned myself on his cigarette. He got mad at me. He was like, "What? Like, why the hell would you do that? That was so stupid." I was like, "Well, I didn't know you had a fucking cigarette in your mouth, my guy." Ingest, take food, drink, or another substance into the body by swallowing or absorbing it. All right. I could definitely see how it would be. I could definitely see how it could find its way into both definitions. So, I think that the more easily accessible one would be that it, you know, in the term of food. But yeah, that's I meant to like ingest the smoke of it. One second. I really need to not take too much damage on this floor. I gotta say, Spoonbender makes more eyes so much better. And generally, I find myself very frustrated with the award that the little wooden nickel badge ribbon thing, because it almost never picks the stat that I actually want increased. But I do like the mental image of in a fit of horniness, instead of starting smoking, you just taking the cigarette and eating it. I'll do anything to impress you. Yeah, it can mean both. I've never heard it your way. I was speaking in space jest, though. Fair. I get real serious about words, man. I live in the realm of of my vocabulary. I live and die by whether or not I'm effectively implying my knowledge of the English language. So I get real defensive, not like defensive, like I won't fight you at the schoolyard, but like if I make mistakes, I want to know more, like, I want to know quickly whether or not I'm fucking things up. Oh, this is scary. Yeah, that's why. The fear shot made one of the guys, instead of following me into conga line, he circled back around me and cut off my escape route. Eat the cigarette, establish dominance. It's such a stupid reason to start. I mean, there's no good reason to start smoking. I can think of reasons that I would more readily forgive. If you were in World War II and saw the shit that you saw, and you're like, well, I'm not surviving this, so who gives a shit? I'll take a momentary spike of whatever pleasure chemical this little burning tobacco stick releases into my brain. Yeah, if you're in World War II and you don't expect to go back to Topeka, Kansas anytime soon, I can see getting addicted to cigarettes. But otherwise, like, there's generally no real good excuse to start smoking. That said, mine's one of the worst. A hot girl offered it to me. Ask me if I got laid because I smoked in front of this girl. Ask me if I even got to first base with this girl. Nope. Sure didn't. Taffy continuing to shit on my hometown. Why? Do you not have soldiers? Did no one from Topeka, Kansas fight in World War II? Don't get me wrong, Topeka's a shithole. Sorry. Sorry if I'm the one who's got to break that to you. Topeka's an absolute turd of a city. But nothing about what I said was offensive to Topeka, Kansas. Unless you're just a person who associates, you know, military service as a negative thing, which, you know, I stick by your guns, but it's the most center of the country, and I associate that with like, you know, like most center of America, American heartland values, most likely to jump up and want to run over to Germany and punch Hitler in the mouth. It is literally like the most dead center spot on the map I can think of. I generally think of like when I think of like soldiers. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely hated my time in Topeka, so much so that I fled it in a rental car. I drove through Oklahoma, which arguably is worse because it's flat and empty, but also ugly. Whereas Kansas is flat and empty and at times is green. Oklahoma's flat and ugly all year around. I drove through hell. I drove through Oklahoma in the summer to get to Dallas to not be in Topeka. That said, I wasn't shitting on it this time. I think the negative experience that I had with Topeka when I was stranded there on tour as a theater actor colors it for me. If I had had a bad experience, if I had had a bad experience in another city, like I had a pretty bad experience in South Bend, Indiana. But in my head, aside from like my experience in South Bend, it's still like where Notre Dame is, so it makes sense to me. Like, there's something to know about it besides I had a bad experience in South Bend, Indiana. I feel like there was something else I wanted to buy, but I clearly don't have enough money for it. The car battery. I don't know if that's gonna be particularly useful with Red Candle though. Yeah, Xantra, like that's what I'm saying is like I have an affinity for my native Dallas, but I'd never live in that city. I don't know that you could pay me to live in Dallas. It'd have to be a pretty significant sum of money. And I love my native Texas. Well, I love my native Dallas. But I'm realistic about the fact that like, my point being is that I actively choose not to live in Dallas. And yet I was just like, you know what? It's summertime. Let's go to North Texas instead. Bad Rat's amount of money? Honestly, I mean, yeah. If I'm gonna have to, like, if we're playing this joke out to its natural conclusion, I'd have to be able to afford a move. I'd have to be able to afford a house. A nice house. I'm not moving to Texas to live in a hovel. I'm not moving to a place that's hotter than hell, and apparently, thanks to climate change, colder than a frozen hell during parts of the winter. Just to live in a place that has bad heating and bad AC. So I'd have to move, you know, someplace nice, like Frisco or Arlington. Those were nice the last time I checked. Frisco's like the new .com area. Arlington was always where the new money lived when I was there. I have no idea if that's still the case. I'd have to live in one of the nicer cities, in a nice house. I'd have to have enough money left over to convince Amber to leave Virginia or the East Coast, which she has clearly stated she has never wanted to do. I tried to get her to Seattle for a little bit. I fucking love Seattle. It's got a crazy homelessness problem. Like, it's weird to drive through a city and just see gigantic homeless camps. And Amber doesn't like that it rains a lot, but, like, besides that, I think it's one of the coolest cities in the USA. But I couldn't even get her to, like, entertain that idea, so I'd have to have enough money left over to make Amber feel like it was worth it. So I'd have to be able to buy a house, pay for the move, convince Amber to move there, and stay there and raise our kids there. And then I'd also have to put up, like, I'd have to put up with having Greg Abbott be my governor for at least a little while. And dealing with all, like, I get embarrassed when Idaho makes headlines for all the dumb shit that Idaho does. Which is part of the reason I'd never go back to Idaho, so I'd have to put up with all the dumb shit that Texas is currently doing. So yeah, it'd have to be probably about $7 million. Because I would be asking the missus to do something, like, everybody in the family would be doing something that they really didn't want to do. Yeah, Austin would be cool. Like, Austin would be cool. I would have to weigh, like, how frustrating is it to live under Greg Abbott's thumb and live in the same state as Ted Cruz. versus how cool is the city of Austin to live in, you know? Oh, is Krampus' head not in that pool? Yeah, today I learned as well. Fun fact, if you need to get from one side of Dallas to the other, it's faster to just die and resurrect. Oh yeah, we'll do this. Hold on. Let's go, Tech 2. Pew! Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Portland now. Like, Portland used to be one of my, like, cities on the West Coast that I would enjoy spending some time in. And now I'm real apprehensive about that. I don't feel as confident about that assumption anymore. I've just fallen in love with places where you don't need a car to get around. It makes the city focus on making neighborhoods nice to walk in and spend time in. Agree. That was one of my big problems when I moved to Richmond from Philly. Philadelphia has never been termed as being like a nice place very frequently. But what I will say Philly has going for it is that my wife and I walked so infrequently in that city. That at one point we lost our car. Like, we just didn't know where it was. We hadn't seen our car in like 3 months. So when it finally got nice outside and we decided we wanted to go visit her parents in Virginia, we had to go find our car. And it took us like 3 hours to walk the neighborhood and remember where we parked it. And it was one of those things where we felt very gratified about how little we spent on gas, about how much extra exercise we got. You know, just how much generally more fit we were, how much nicer the neighborhoods were to spend time in. Having just been in Portland, a lot of that's overblown, though the homelessness problem is very real as it is in most West Coast, or many West Coast cities. Yeah, it was bad in San Diego too. San Diego, Portland, Seattle. The West Coast cities, man, just have I guess I'm being told that it's becoming an issue in Boise now that Boise's warming up quite a bit. That apparently Boise's getting a bit of a homelessness issue. That's one thing I really did enjoy about living in Philly, though, was that between walking and public transit, we just almost never drove. It felt really inconvenient to drive anywhere. It felt much easier to just go like, well, we could probably just take the bus out there, right? And it's like, nah, we're buying a mattress. Like, we could just put the bus, like, if we got on the bus, we could just put the mattress on the bike rack. It's like, I don't think they're gonna like that. Yeah, we gotta take the car. Otherwise, it was like, yeah, maybe we could just ride SEPTA out there.
This is the story of the newest denizen of the cave.
I don't know if that counts. I don't know if, I don't know if these new guys count towards, conjoined. I'm hopeful that they do. Banana Choco Pie, Prime Gaming, 8 months. It's been a long time, but I'm back. Hope everyone is doing good. Is that Ice Scooper? Dude, we're not wasting the key. That's the beauty of Dreamcatcher. There's an increased chance on this last floor, this last depths floor, that we might get a planetarium, because I'm not wasting a key on iPlopper. Banana Choco Pie, pleasure to have you back. Twisted Pair does count towards conjoined. Great, excellent, excellent, because we're not seeing many damage upgrades. We're putting out a lot of like firepower, but the bullets are not very strong. What do you got going on here? I'll use keys here. Yo, you know what? Honestly, that's a godsend on these Mother and Dogma runs. Because ultimately, I feel like you just don't get as many items. You don't get as many opportunities to I feel like you don't get as many opportunities to pull away from this game. So getting an entire extra floor to try to make items happen feels significantly good. Like, we don't have any way to re-up our health right now. Our damage is not particularly good unless you count just landing a whole bunch of shots that are low damage. Belnix, good morning, everyone. Just slept for 12 hours. That sounds lovely. I managed to get to bed last night at a reasonable... Okay. I managed to get to bed last night at a reasonable hour, but I still woke up feeling very tired this morning. I still took my happy ass to the gym for what it's worth. So I'm proud of myself for that, but I'm having to force myself to really focus on... Ooh, don't go in there. I'm really having to force myself to focus on just, like, accomplishing one day's worth of good tasks at a time. Any more than that, I'm sorry, and I feel a little overwhelmed. Tamzab, what's going on? Welcome back. Morocco, man. I want to be in Morocco. Morocco would be such a dope place to visit. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's like a nightmarish hellscape, don't let me plan a vacation around going there. The only time I've been to North Africa was to visit Tunis for a day on my honeymoon. I really liked Tunis. Obviously, like, you know, a lot of Americans that I was with were not super geeked about going to a predominantly Muslim country, but Amber and I thought it was a fucking blast. We had, like, you know, it was a cruise, so admittedly, like, if you're on a cruise, you're not expecting to be with the most worldly, you know, the most worldly individuals. But at the same time, like, our cruise director was like, it is a predominantly Muslim country, so please dress modestly. Understand that if you're a woman, you may not be permitted to go wherever you want. Certainly not without you know, a gentleman to accompany you. So Amber and I'm gonna find a photo. You guys have doomed yourself to this. Amber and I dressed modestly and had a lovely time and went to a 1,000-year-old souk, a 1,000-year-old market. I overpaid for a whole bunch of trinkets and baubles, and she actually got two guys very upset with her because she bartered a silver inlaid glass tea set. She got a glass tea set for roughly the same price as I got a wooden necklace. Because the guy told me I looked like his cousin and petted my beard, my 5 o'clock shadow, and I melted for him and was like, here's 20 bucks. And she managed to get an entire tea set for the amount of money that I spent on this fucking necklace that I think broke before I got back. But the entire experience was great. And we didn't get hassled anywhere, but we walked off the boat with like a Texas family, and all the daughters were wearing like spaghetti strap halter tops and juicy short shorts. And they were bitching about how it was too, like, basically the entire area was too African-y. Like, oh, this is like an Arab market. And I was like, yeah, brother, look the fuck around. You're exactly right. That's exactly what you've wandered into. How can you be surprised about this? Boy, a lot of this music is...
This is the story of the newest denizen of the cave.
This is one of my favorite photos. I wish we had a better camera, but Amber and I technically were both unemployed when we did this. But yeah, that's Amber on top of this market. And then honestly, here's me wearing a $25 wooden necklace because this guy petted my 5 o'clock shadow and told me I looked like his cousin. So I bought a very expensive wooden necklace. Oh yeah, Tathra, it was a very tourist trappy sort of place, and we knew that going in. The guys who worked in this souk, one dude impressed the shit out of me because there were so many tourists that would come through that place. He asked what nationality we were, and by the time we just answered yes and no, and by the time he got down to American, it was like his fifth choice, which we found very, very flattering. That we were like we were skinny and well behaved enough that American was like his fifth or sixth choice for us. He thought we were Spanish. He thought we were French. He thought we were Italian. He thought we were Canadian, and we're like, oh, go on. keep listing nationalities that have a respectable reputation around the globe. You flatter. But when he finally got to American, we were like, well, what happens when somebody does say that they're from Spain, you know, or they're from France? Like, obviously you spoke with us in English almost the entire time. And he said, oh, well, English clearly is the most accessible language globally. But, and then he went on to sell me that necklace. It was, honestly, I paid for the theater of it. I paid for the theatricality of it because he sold me that necklace in like 11 different languages. He sold that necklace to me in Japanese. He sold that necklace to me in Korean. He sold it to me in Spanish, French, and German. It was really, really, like, very impressive. Has a high chance to give you the effect of mom's foot, of a random mom item every room. Neat. Morocco's great if, as long as you aren't, women hiking in the mountains. Fair enough. I mean, like, yeah, you know, listen, I don't really want to spend a lot of time in any Muslim country as a woman. That reminds me of when I bartered a carving of a jaguar head down to $5 before I decided I didn't want it. Then my little brother came by and proudly declared how he got a bargain of a jaguar head for 20 bucks, and I didn't have the heart to tell him. What sucks is because Amber and I didn't have a job at the time, we ended up at a place where they handmade, like, basically Persian rugs. And they were offering them to us, but Amber and I didn't have several extra $100 just laying around for rugs. We were fucking broke, man. We were super duper broke, and we were only on this trip because my parents were nice enough to buy it for us. Like, we posed as people interested in purchasing art on the cruise ship because it came with free champagne because we couldn't afford to buy drinks at the bar. We really did not have any money. In retrospect, God, I would love to go to that same souk in Tunisia. I didn't see what the item was, if anybody's got it for me. I would love to go to that same souk in Tunisia. Oh, dude, the dice room. Oh, whatever. I mean, not whatever. That's a bad mistake, but I'm storytelling and not playing Isaac. No, the item room I skipped on purpose. The item room was the eyeball scooper, and that's one of the worst new items in the game. Yeah, Timon, a lot of the music in here has had very bank heist 70s cop show stuff. Entity, have a good one. Yeah, the item room was on purpose. The five room was not. I'm kicking myself about that. That was a bad mistake to make, but I'm spending more time talking than I am playing or paying attention to the game. Yeah, Tunis was beautiful. Yeah, Kite Machine, I'm pretty jazzed about having picked up Tech and Spoonbender. Anyway, yeah, the whole reason that I missed the 5 room was just I wish I could go back to that same place now with you know what little bit of disposable income I have, because frankly I'd have bought like 4 rugs. They were beautiful rugs. They were hand stitched by women who were working on them as we were sitting there. Beautiful. I don't even know what Hemolacria does. That's interesting. I'll take it. I was to say, I don't know what Hemolacria does with Tech 2. It looks like the unaffected tears go out all bloopy. My parents used to go look at houses that were completely out of their price range and would act all fancy while getting the tour with a posh accent. It was very fun. Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, genuinely, Amber and I always just assumed that we would be dirt poor. Like, we got married, and it was like, you have a theater degree, and I'm like, you have a theater degree, and we kind of sit there for a second and go, so we're just always gonna be poor. Uh-huh. And so we had to decide pretty early on that being poor was gonna be okay. Because it wasn't as though we really had another option. So pretending to be well off and pretending to be of means and pretending to have money was sometimes the only thing we could do to pass the time. Ooh. Oh, I've already been here. Well, I might as well donate. I'm kicking myself about that 5 room. Oh, Tavi, I wanted to mention that I watched the first YouTube video. I wasn't sure if you wanted any feedback. There's a severe lack of Isaac music. Not sure how to fix this, but something I noticed. Unless we manually edit the Isaac music back in, it's a Twitch run. And right now, I've had to work very hard with Squint Fox's help to eliminate the pretzel music you're hearing. You're hearing pretzel music. It doesn't end up in the VOD, and it doesn't end up in the YouTube video. Because if it did, I would get copyright claims. Because the overwhelming majority of the music that is licensed by Pretzel is licensed for Twitch use, but not for YouTube. Damn. I was hoping to get over there and blow that up. So the only way to solve the issue that you're seeing, which is there's no music on Isaac, is to manually go add the music back in. And seeing as I literally cannot make any money off of YouTube, at least until the new channel hits 1,000 subs, and I haven't made any money off of YouTube in over a year. Not even like, at one point I used to make like $100 a year off of YouTube. But yeah, considering the fact that I've not made more than $1,000 off of that YouTube, off of any YouTube channel in my lifetime, I don't know that I'm gonna ask Joanna to charge me triple what she's charging me right now so that we can add fake music back in based on the circumstances. Can I ask why you chose a theater degree? I was a business major for a couple of years and I had real... I was a business major for a couple of years and I had real bad image issues. And I went from computer information systems to computer science. I couldn't pass algebra. Sorry, not algebra. I was great at algebra. I couldn't pass calculus. So I just didn't get to go on with computer science. You'll get a kick out of this. I used to want to program for Blizzard. Back when that was a good thing. Because like games like Diablo, you know, games like StarCraft. And so calculus stopped me dead in my tracks with regards to trying to go after CS. So I basically found myself in a place where I was staring down a 3rd or 4th major change in 2 years. And then I saw a photo of myself, I don't know, 40 pounds heavier than I was when I started college. So I lost a whole bunch of weight. And for a long time, it seemed like a lot of the decisions that I made were based on like, will this increase my self-esteem? And so I got really fit. I dropped from like 230 pounds down to like 163. And felt very good. I had 6-pack abs. I had big Ripley muscles in my arms. I dressed nicely. And so I just kind of dove down the narcissism rabbit hole and was just like, what else could I do that would make me feel good about myself after feeling so shitty about myself for a couple of years? And I was trying to figure out what kind of job I might be able to do. And I realized that an overwhelming majority of the jobs that I had tried to accomplish or that I thought about doing as a kid, I did because of movies. For example, when I was a tween, I wanted to be a pilot because of Top Gun. I just realized that all the jobs that I wanted to hold down as a kid, I wanted to hold down because of movies. And so I was just like, oh, I'll just go make movies and be an actor. Made sense then. So I did that instead. And I ended up getting a degree with it. The more I got into entertainment, the more I liked it. I think we could figure out a Heroes Tonight loop situation. We could just put, we could just put looped Heroes Tonight in there. Kiba says she would charge you triple for it. Could she just add an audio track that contains the music? After that, it should just be balancing the 2 tracks in Premiere. Like, who's gonna manufacture the audio track? And then at that point, does it just rotate and become? At that point, does the criticism just become, that's not the right song for the right level? That's not the boss fight music. Why does the music continue even when the cutscenes happen? So it genuinely becomes like, do we have interest in artificially adding Isaac music back into Isaac just for the YouTube channel? Or will people learn, like, maybe I could put one very generic Isaac track in there and just call it good, but for right now we're finding our sea legs. I could just go back to forcing you guys to not hear Pretzel. I could go back to just playing the Isaac music on Twitch all day, every day, and then porting that over. But again, Twitch makes me money and YouTube doesn't, so instead I let you guys listen to funk and jazz and punk music all day. I told my computer lecturer to fuck off after teaching us how to code websites. He basically taught us how to write the code into, I think, front page before writing it by hand, and then told us we weren't allowed to do it that way. It was technically hacking. None of that makes sense to me, but maybe that's for the best. I didn't make it that far down the rabbit hole. In an alternate universe, Taffy's a Ghostbuster and made it in movies. I'd love that. That'd be great. I'd love to be in the new Ghostbusters film. You want to find a way to gain negative subs on YouTube because looping heroes would be the way. I've already got 0 subs on these channels. I mean, I don't. I've got like double digits, but that's in YouTube world. That's the same as having no subs at all. I'm already starting from scratch for the 3rd time in my YouTube life. Shit. Yeah, unfortunately, this is a passive, whereas the other one wasn't. The other one was the Yeetus Fetus. Yeah, unless I decide to just do like the generic Isaac music. The only fucking fucker. The only solution I have is, you know, at the ready, is to just make you guys listen to Isaac music again and just leave it there. But I don't think that's worth it for now. What do you mean you're starting from scratch? This is Amber's and the company of McLaffy Taffy's YouTube channels. Don't try to steal this from them. Would never dream of it. Ew. Would never dream of it. As I say, like, from a marketing perspective, YouTube is worth it if you can get any sort of traction pulled together. Eventually, monetarily, it could be worth it if you get any sort of viewership pulled together. But for right now, all I'm doing is dumping hundreds of dollars into YouTube a month and hoping that I see some sort of return on my investment. So the idea that, you know, I would triple that budget to custom tailor, I don't even know what that does. Neat. The idea that I would like triple that budget just to try to custom tailor a custom audio track, or that I would piss off my Twitch audience by taking away Pretzel, doesn't financially make sense to me. Oh my god, you deserve this, chat. I deserve that.
Justice.
You'll never guess who forgot to reset his alarm volume. Chat was asking me how feasible it might be. I was hungry, so I went and grabbed a little little pinch of like lunch meat. Y'all are talking about me behind my back. These rat bastards, these inconsiderate bastards. Chat was wondering how labor intensive it might be to grab like a 90-minute stretch of just Isaac OST music and just lay it over the top indiscriminately at like 30% volume or 25% volume. Lay it over the top of whatever video we were doing just so there'd be some sort of some sort of music track in the background, because right now obviously this doesn't save. So there were folks who felt as though it was too quiet.
I spent it. It's
Over
gone.
40, what's
Just
going on?
Get over it.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's gone? How can you have spent our savings?
What a weird build. Backseating. The word is backseating. Constructive criticism. ICE was very polite in how they brought that up. ICE brought that up in a very polite, constructive way. If that had been like shitty or snarky, I'd have shut it down. I've seen shitty, snarky backseating. I've seen a lot of it in my life. And that was not it. No, it's not a touchy subject. It's just that, like, this is the road of decision making that you have to go down as a content creator. Is that there's like anybody who has ever done content creation or has done it for an extremely long. It reminds me of a story. I used to work with a guy in a company. Nate and I worked with a guy in all of our music endeavors. Nate and I used to work with a guy in our music endeavors.
Self-destructive and disturbed, just like his father.
One sec.
Forget who he has to look up to. And you're drunk again, aren't you?
Shut up, Maggie.
Yeah,
Shut
see.
up. You just keep pushing me like this. I'm leaving.
Good. Leave. We'll be fine without you. Abandon us. Abandon yourself.
See, even Joanna thought it, and she's the editor. But there was a guy that Nate and I worked with who often seemed to think that like decisions were very easy. Like, oh please don't. Who used to think that like decisions or thoughts that he had were very easy to implement on things that were not. And I had to like tell Nate that I didn't ever feel like it was being done out of malice, but I thought it was being done just out of sort of like ignorance. And I know that word's got a real negative connotation, but like I think this is what I'm thinking of. We used to Dunning-Kruger, the Dunning-Kruger effect. In psychology, a cognitive bias where people with limited knowledge or competence, not saying you're incompetent, but if you don't know a lot about a subject, you ask a very simple sounding question. Cognitive bias where people with limited knowledge or competence in given intellectual or social domain greatly overestimate their own knowledge or competence in the domain relative to the criteria or performance of their peers in general. So we were in a spot with our situation. We were in a spot with our situation where, for example, Nate built a website. Nate built a website. It was labor intensive, but he got it done and he figured it out. And then we showed off the fruits of our labors because I was helping him, pull stuff together. It's always me and Nate doing work and being supervised sometimes by this individual who fancied themselves the leader. And so at one point I remember after sitting through watching Nate craft this website and knowing how much work went into making it what it was, we got to the very end and showcased it finally. And the guy that I'm talking about looks at it and goes, yeah, that's good, I suppose, but I think it would be better if we just moved this over here and moved that there and like just started talking about it like it was a Word document. And like we had a designer design it, and we had like Nate code it, and we had paid some Croatian dude to help like write code and pull it all together. And then we got it and we were like, this is it. This is the hard-baked finished thing. And he was just like, yeah, it's pretty good. Can we just start shuffling this stuff around? Like, what do we need to have these tabs up here? Can we move those off to the side? And can we take this photo and can we move the, you know, where the album covers live? Can we move that to the other side of the page? And we're like, no. No, man, we can't do that.
You need to repent.
I'm ignorant all the time.
You need to confess your
Super
sins
duper ignorant all
and
the
become
time.
saved. Let his light inside you cleanse your soul.
Insane. You are taking this too far.
I wish they'd stop yelling so I could talk to you guys.
Pray with me. Pray for your salvation. Come, pray with us, Isaac.
And so I feel like with streaming that happens a lot where folks go, well, that's an easy fix, why don't you just blank? And sometimes, honestly, folks having an uncomplicated point of view on it is actually just the insight you need to go, shit, it really is that easy, we could just fix that. But then sometimes it's like, sometimes it's
Where are you going?
oh my god, it's
Wait,
next elf, they're just gonna scream at each other.
Need you. Your son needs you.
I'm doing more harm than good. I just can't do this.
Please don't leave us.
Sorry, Isaac.
But sometimes, like, just to get things into a workable state has meant that I've, like, you know, I've given up days off for Squint Fox, who has no financial interest in this channel other than how much money he's spent on it. Okay, I guess he's up here now. Has given up his days off to help me work on it. Just to get it to, like, what feels like a passable solution. And they're like, sometimes the pieces just don't always fit together perfectly, and it's like, oh, well, you know, the Isaac music's not there. And I'm like, yeah, man, it was gonna be music that I was gonna get a copyright strike on, but we made it not that. Yeah, Squint Fox is throwing good money after bad. That's exactly what's happening in my job right now. So, like, nobody here ever shits on... Well, okay, that's not true. Some people occasionally hear shit on me for, like, Taffy, why don't you do blank? And I'm like, fuck you. That's why. But, generally speaking, if something looks like it's done incorrectly, if I know about it and if it happened for a reason, the reason I get so emphatic about explaining it to people is because I don't want you to think that I just didn't care or took a shortcut. Sometimes it's technical limitations. Sometimes it was very hard just to get it to that place. People who don't know how much work something takes are the bane of my existence. That's exactly what's happening in my job right now. Welcome to life as a software developer. Yeah, everyone's ignorant in some fashion or another. Also an idea that, is it Janosh or Janosh? Hard, like, soft liquid Y, or like hard J. You have somebody doing your TikToks. If that content already exists, I can publish those as YouTube shorts. Yeah, honestly, I could give you just access to that entire file of all of our TikTok posts. Yeah, that's I have all the non-TikTok, unbranded TikTok stuff. Janosh. Okay, good. I didn't want to make an assumption. He's like, dude, there's a J there. Say the J. So I'd rather look ignorant and be told correctly how to say it than to make an assumption and have it go on for like a month and be like, you know, that's not how he says his name, right? I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Isn't there a Pretzel Rock YouTube safe playlist, or is it not as good? There is J McG Plays, but a picture will explain this so much more than I could.
This is the story of the newest denizen of the cave.
Twitch safe tracks. 366,941. YouTube safe tracks across all stations, across all these stations. So like out of these tracks that are YouTube safe, I probably like a quarter of them, or at least want to listen to a quarter of them. So we'll say like 1,000 usable tracks here. So like 100 hours of music across all genres, or 370,000 tracks, or roughly 14,000 hours of music. So Pretzel's awesome, and I can't wait to see what they continue to do with it. but their YouTube safe option right now is currently not the solution that I'm looking for. Axstar comes in tier 1 for 21 months. Did you miss me? You're giving me those Moriarty feels. Of course. Welcome back, Axstar. Happy to see you. Long time no see. Yeah, that's after stream's over, Joanna, I'll give you access to all the like TikTok-less brand, like there's no TikTok branding. All the raw files for all the shorts. They're edited. They just haven't been put through the TikTok processor. That Grand Theft Auto one and the actual Edmund shit talking me one, I think would do really well on YouTube. My current manager was just complaining to another building manager about me taking up 10 hours to draw out a task that should be finished in 15 minutes. Luckily, I'm friends with the other manager and he told me about the conversation. I wasn't pleased with that comment. I just never want you guys to think that I'm phoning stuff in. I am still trying my ass off from one day to the next. Every once in a blue moon, somebody will find something that genuinely was just me letting stuff fall through the cracks. And I get super embarrassed about it. But it doesn't happen often, and more often than not, if you've spotted something, I've spotted something. Oh, I'm very slow. We're making a lot of coins. Follow up to my previous comment, I was not drawing anything out. I was actually working extra hard to get caught up on the project, yet the manager has never done it and has no idea. It's tough. It's tough. Sometimes it's out of malice. Sometimes it's just out of ignorance. But when folks... There can be moments where people will offer you criticism and they don't really know exactly what that entails, and it's a sensitive thing to try to tackle without coming off like, sometimes they're the nail and you got to be the fucking hammer, but you don't. It's not always the case, and it's hard sometimes to respond in kind without coming off as being defensive about it. Any thoughts about looking into creating music, audio assets for clips and shorts? I don't follow. Explain it to me like I'm 5. I've had people ask me to write or edit poetry for them for free because they assume it's easy and not at all time consuming. Artists always get short shrift from people assuming that we should do it for the enjoyment or not get paid for our efforts. I haven't been in that camp in a long ass time, man. When was the last time you guys saw me push an affiliate code, you know? Whether it's genuine or not, whether it's something that I can truly back up easily, I certainly have assigned a value to my time. Okay, that's lava. Look out, the floor is lava. It's just hard because the bullets are very blobby right now. Okay. Getting a little closer, big boy. Just gotta get into the dogma part. With you in a jiffy, chat. Please don't hurt me. But the thing with Isaac Muse is I want to do it right and put the... See, that's what I said, Joanna, was that like it can't be that. I'm the same way. I'm the same way, and my instinctive response to folks when they said like, well, the silence is like genuinely kind of off-putting. And my first response was, well, what happens when I don't have the correct music lined up with certain boss fights? And then people are just like, that's not even the right boss music with this. It would have to just be like, it would have to just be generic Isaac background music. We just get like an hour-and-a-half long playlist of Isaac music. We set it going and we just put it over the top of it. Because right now the return on investment that I get for YouTube is $0.00. And that's not to say that it will always be that way. I don't think it'll always be that way, or else we wouldn't be doing this at all, but getting juggle fucked here. I just needed to get to this. But yeah, just generally speaking, I think maybe we could find a good enough solution, but it would have to be a good enough solution. We couldn't possibly at this stage in the YouTube channel's existence justify artificially reconstructing the entire soundtrack. I'd be at a place where I'd be paying like $75, $100 per video. And I currently don't make $365,000 a year, or whatever it would rack up to be. I certainly don't make that much money off of YouTube. And I'm definitely not fucking around in Nintendo's sandbox. Let's go ahead and at least get this.
The sky above cracked open, and a white beam of light reached down into the earth.
A lot of people can't take criticism. I feel like I've gotten better about it. I used to get real defensive about it.
Lake to a boil. As the beast